So good morning, everybody. I'm super excited to talk to you today about mindset and how you can change your mindset and all those fun things. I just realized my kids' toys are on the floor in the background. No big deal. I don't care. Okay, so we were just chatting before I clicked record about Energize. And if you're Team Lemon or Team Fruit Punch, I personally am Team Lemon. So wherever you're watching this, let me know. Are you Team Lemon or are you Team Fruit Punch? But the reason I'm even talking about that, one of the reasons, is because Mixed Berry, a brand new flavor, is coming out on Monday. So 2 days away if you're watching on Saturday. But Monday the 18th, May 18th, the new flavor of Energize comes out, Mixed Berry. And I gotta tell you something, Energize is life. That's like what a lot of people say, and it's true. I drink it every time I work out. It gives me a ton of energy. It's clean, it's delicious. I'm trying to think how I can explain it. I've tried other pre-workouts in the past, and I literally would only take half of it because I was so nervous about shaking. And Energize does not do that to you. It does not make you jittery. I do once in a while get a little tingle in my fingers when drinking it, and I actually like that. I'm like, oh good, it's working, let's go work out. But there's no jitteriness, no like speeding up of your heart. And the caffeine, there is caffeine in it, and it's from green tea extract and coffee bean extract. So it's an awesome drink. I highly recommend it. I also drink it before I like clean. I'm a little addicted to it, but it's really, really good. Anyway, Mixed Berry's coming out, and we have lemon, so I'm really excited to try to mix those two and see what happens there too. Haven't tried either. Allergies, maybe have to try one a day. Yeah, try it. See, tell me what you think. Okay, so mindset. When I got to tell you something, I was not the best student in school, like ever. Maybe in college, I became a good student. But that being said, I always, throughout grade school, high school, you would have to read books and do book reports and take tests on books that you read. And I never read the book, like not once, my entire school. When my kids now love to read and they're like, Mom, did you ever read this book? And I was like, I'm constantly saying no. No, I didn't read it in school. Like, it's so bad. I literally never read, and it took me to be in college to read The Great Gatsby, even though I was supposed to read it twice in high school. I never read it. I never read any of the books, and I don't know why. I think it was like ADHD. Like, I just did not want to read. Anyway, I was introduced to books when I was like 18 about how I could achieve something, right? So it took somebody to say to me, oh, you want to earn more money? Read this book. And then I started to read books. But from then on out, I became addicted to books because they changed my life. And I'm talking about novels, although maybe novels could change your life, but I'm talking about books that gave me some strategy and some principles in my life that I could like live by and achieve my goals and become the person I really wanted to be. And that's really what it did. It kind of guided me. Listen, in high school, I had my first child at 17. I hung out with really bad people. Maybe they were good at heart. I don't like to call people bad, but they just weren't the best people in the world. And I was not in a good mindset, right? And even though I was raised by great people and always was around, like our family always hung around good people, I personally chose the hard road many, many, many times. And it took me to hear somebody who I thought in my eyes were successful to say, hey, listen, you need to read this book. And then I started to read. And one of my very first books I read literally changed my life. And I highly recommend this to everybody. And we'll go over many other books later. But this one, it is called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it's by Dale Carnegie. Guys, this is an old book, okay? It is old as dirt, but it is so good. And the reason why I'm telling you about this one first is because there's a huge difference in what we're putting in our head, and to know if it's a trend or a tactic versus principles, right? And here's the difference. Trends and tactics, they're not bad. It's not like you shouldn't be learning how to grow your business on Instagram in 2020, right? Or how to communicate via text message. I'm not saying those are bad. I'm just saying that tactics and trends are things that are just in the now, that might be working in the now, right? But principles are things that will last over time and be tested and proven time and time and time again, right? And what I want for you is to find these principles and constantly put them in your head, right? Constantly. And so how to win friends and influence people, one of the first things they talk about is not criticizing, complaining, or condemning, right? That worked in 1920 and the same as 2020, right? And so principles, when you can find books that are all about principles that will last time and time again, they can become your best friend and you can revisit them over time, right? You don't need to just read it once and toss it. And so this is one of the best books I've ever read. And the cool thing is my daughter is reading it right now. And you know what? I've told her many, many, many times to read this book and she never did. It took someone else who she saw as being like a successful person to be like, hey, you should read this book, right? So I'm telling you now, you should read this book. Get it if you don't have it. Now, another thing, categories. A lot of people ask, so where do I start? How do I know what book to read next? And a lot of people tend to just read the book that's popular, right? So in the coach world, everybody's reading. And so there'll be a book that comes out that everybody read and everybody's like, you got to read this book. It's amazing, right? I'm not saying it's not amazing and I'm not saying you shouldn't read it. But if you want to look at your life and try to figure out, okay, what book should I read out of all of these millions of books that are so great? Where should I start? So I like to break my life down into different categories, right? I like to look at different areas of my life and decide where it needs help most. So I go with finances, right? Friends and family, or you could just call that relationships, right? Finances, relationships, now I'm blanking here. Fitness and health, or food, fitness and food, right? Faith is another big one. And I always forget, well, I'll go over it. Oh, and just like productivity is another big one. So I'm gonna show you books in each one of those categories. But really what I want you to do is think about your life and be like, where do I need the most help right now? Right? Where do I need the most help right now? And for me personally, the most help I need right now is food. Yeah, food. I'm really happy that Alana just dropped this book. You can drop it because I need it right now. And so I just started diving into it yesterday. I got it 2 days ago or yesterday. I don't remember when I got it. And I started reading it and it's so great. Even though I already have the program, I already watched all the videos in the program, but that was 2 years ago I watched all those videos, right? I need a reminder. I even did the certification program, which is great. I personally always need reminders. I didn't dive into the recipes yet, so I'll let you know about the recipes. But I need to constantly be putting things in my head, right? To change my mindset. And sometimes it's easy to slip back into your mindset, into old ways, old habits of thinking, right? So there's a phrase out there and I can't remember exactly how it is, but basically it's like motivation is like bathing, right? You don't need to do it daily, but it's recommended, right? So motivation, things that you're putting in your head, changing your mindset, that is really important to do daily. And so another tip I want to give you before we dive into these books is time. Everybody's like, I don't have time to read a book, right? And I totally get that, trust me. So I'm going to tell you what I personally do. And if you have ways to fit in your super busy life to fit into reading, please put them in the chat and we'll talk about them. But for me personally, I kind of got into this routine, this system of way of doing things. It's kind of rare that I bought this book in physical form before listening to it on Audible, but I don't think it's on Audible right now, so that's why. So okay, here's the deal. I normally will buy a book on Audibles. If you don't know what Audible is, it's the listening app that's linked to Amazon, right? I will buy a book on Audibles and before I ever buy it physically. And let me tell you why. Audibles, a lot of people don't know this, and it's really amazing. Audibles will let you listen to an entire book, and if you don't like it, you can return it and use your credit for a different book. Now, there might be a timeline on that. You might have to check the time frame, like, does it have to be within 30 days? I don't know. You have to check, right? But when you do a membership with Audible, I put my subscription is like $15 or something like that a month. And I know that I'm going to get a book every month, right? If I listen to that book and I don't like it, I can return it and swap out for a different book. And I think that's really, really cool. And because it's on Audibles, I listen to it when I'm doing other things that are mindless. I'm not saying driving is mindless, but I can listen to an Audible while driving. I can also listen to an Audible while doing laundry. Or if I just really don't want to watch TV, like if my kids are watching a movie or something, I can pop in my Audible and listen to that. So lots of different ways that you can listen to your book. Just bought the book, $19 on Amazon and free one-day shipping. Sweet. So that's for, you can drop it. That's on Amazon. Free one-day shipping. Well, at least for Amy, it's free one-day shipping. Sheila says, every library has access to audiobooks for free with your library card. Sweet. So she never goes to the library anymore, and she just listens to the books. I go through books like crazy for free. I love that. They use Overdrive. I'm not sure what Overdrive is. That a storing, like a listening app? A listening app, okay. And they have books you can request before they even release to get on the wait list. So that's a really cool tip. So Overdrive is the app. Get your library card and access online with your library card so you can rent books for free. Great idea. Now here's the thing. If I find the book has a lot of principles in it that I want to like study over time, that's when I would buy the physical book. And I love places like Barnes and Noble, but I very rarely buy books from Barnes and Noble. So something to keep in mind. So those are my quick tips. Now let's go over the actual categories of books I have here and then where you can start. This is exciting for me. Okay, so let's dive into faith first, because these two books, I have not been other than the Bible, obviously, I have not been super into reading faith-filled books, but I found these two and I'm so in love with them, so much so that I'm literally going to reread them over and over and over again. And the reason being is because they're quick. So they're by Matthew Kelly. It's Rediscover Jesus and Resisting Happiness. And the reason I love these is because the chapters, it's kind of like a devotional, but a little longer. The chapters are about like 3 pages long. So hold on. This is like 1 page, 2 page, and then done. See that? So they're really short. And I can read within like 5 minutes or less every morning, read one little chapter, and it has the reflection at the end, and they're very real life driven. I love them. I love them. So anyway, these two books I totally love. They're by Matthew Kelly, Rediscover Jesus and Resisting Happiness. Totally in love with those. So I'm starting with that one just because I don't have a ton of books in that one. So I am working on myself. Okay, so that's faith, your relationship with Jesus, your relationship. Okay, next. These are habit and productive driven books. First, I want to talk about the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This is by Stephen Covey. He also writes a book, and I don't have it in this format. I only have it in digital. 7 Highly Habits for Highly Effective Families. The families one has really made a huge impact on our family because we read it really early on. I don't know if I would recommend that one if your kids are older and like out of the house already, but if you have young kids at home, it might be really cool to read. But it's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and then 7 Habits of Highly Effective Families. This is also an old book. I have a lot of classics in here, and the reasons why they're classics is because, I mean, if you just go on Amazon and look up the book, you'll see it has 8 million reviews and has sold 80 million copies. This one here says has sold 15 million copies, and this was bought like 20 years ago. So I don't know what it is now, but I'm telling you that they're really, really good books. So that's another one. Okay, another, I would put this in productivity or mindset, but The Slight Edge, short. It's a short read. And this is actually the one I'm going to recommend, and I'll repeat this later, but the one I'm going to recommend if you've never read like a personal development or personal growth book and you don't know where to start, I would start here, The Slight Edge. This is such a good book, and it's short, very short. And it kind of, here's the thing, I have these broken into categories, but they all kind of blend because they're all about mindset. So they can't be like strict lines. You can't be like, this is just for mindset, this one's for whatever. They all blend, but I tried to break them into categories as much as possible. This is a great one, and I recommend this being one of your first ones. Inexpensive, short, and really impactful. I'm going to put that one to the side so we can remember it. Okay, another one about habits. There's 2 books I have about habits, but I only have one in physical form. So there's one called The Power of Habit. Very, very good. The Power of Habit by, I think it's Charles Diggory. I can't remember his name, but The Power of Habit. And then after Power of Habit, I would read Atomic Habits by James Clear. I would personally read them in order. Like I would do The Power of Habit first, and then Atomic Habits. The Power of Habit, Atomic Habits mentions the power of habit, right? But if you're trying to change your habits around at all, it's really cool to figure out, like, how does my mind work, and how could I possibly make it easier to create that habit or break a habit, right? So The Power of Habit and Atomic Habits. Those are really good books. Okay, moving on. I'm going to talk about relationships for a moment. I talked about this yesterday in a live video on Facebook, but marriage, love and marriage, these are great books for your relationships, right? So you have 5 love languages and The Marriage You've Always Wanted. These are both written by the same person. I would suggest probably the 5 love languages first, and then The Marriage You've Always Wanted. These are also very short, highly impactful books. And here's the thing about some of these books. The beginning is almost just as good or better than the rest of it. Like, read 1 or 2 chapters and see if you're digging it, right? And then move into the rest. Don't get mad at it. And I'll talk about that for a second. I might find a book super impactful, right? But for you, you might read a chapter or 2 and be like, this is the dumbest book I've ever read. Don't get upset if you get something out of it or you can relate with the author more so or less so than the next person, right? So there could be a book that in your tribe, friends, family, coaches, where everybody's like, oh my gosh, you got to read this book. And then you read it and you're like, meh. That happened to me with this book, actually. Everybody loves this book, and I am going to mention it, called Girl Wash Your Face. But for me, I was like, meh. I actually didn't give up on her, though. I read her next book, and her next book I totally loved. So anyway, let me dive in. These are the marriage books, the 5 love languages, and The Marriage You've Always Wanted. Jesse and I read this one before we ever got married. Totally helpful. This one we read when we were like really struggling. A couple of years ago, we were at each other's throats constantly, and we felt things not being as great as they were. And so we started reading this one. We like dropped everything. We're like, listen, we need to work on this. And so we started reading this book. Now, Gary Chapman is a marriage counselor. So he comes with a lot of experience, talked to a lot of people, a lot of marriages. And so he puts it all in these books. Really great books. I'm putting this in the relationship category, but it's I don't know what I would put it in. It's called The Happiness Advantage. If you want to be happy, read this book. The Happiness Advantage. He does talk about how being around other people is helpful and all that, but I would suggest this one. I would suggest this one on Audibles. I don't even know why I have. Look, I probably bought, I highlight all my books that I've read. This is not, I probably bought it for my daughter to read. Anyway, okay, next category. Mindset. I love these. These three are like I said, that, okay, so this one, Girl Wash Your Face, I put it in here as one that I love, but not for me personally. I've recommended it to a lot of people and they all loved it, so I might as well put it in here, right? Girl Wash Your Face. She has one right after this called Girl Stop Apologizing, and I like that one even more. But that's because it's a little more business driven, and I really liked it for me personally, but that's a great one. Another great one, this is called One Beautiful Dream. If you're working towards big goals and you're a mom, this one's awesome. Awesome. You might not be able to relate much at all if you're not a mom, but because it's really just her story about being a mom of like 6 kids and working on a really big goal and writing a book while homeschooling her kids. Like, I mean, there's a lot in this book. I highly recommend it. One Beautiful Dream. It's also hilarious. It'll catch your attention like no other. It's so funny. But there's so many principles thrown in her story. It's great. Okay. This is one I recommend for everybody. And I'm going to pull out the ones that I think is for everyone. You should start with these books. Definitely. And they're classics. This is The Magic of Thinking Big. Life-changing. This book is literally life-changing. Every single person that I asked who has some sort of success in their lives has said that they read this book. So us coaches know that there's like some top coaches who are, huge earners, very big earners. So the names I'm about to spit out are those people that I'm talking about. But I emailed and messaged Melanie Mitro, Ashley Molstadt, Danielle Natoni, who else? There was like 1 or 2 other people, I can't remember. Amy Silverman, did I say that? And there was one other one. And I asked them what are their top books? Oh, Katie Ursa. I asked them what are their top books that they would recommend for people. And almost always, The Magic of Thinking Big is on that list. You don't have to be a coach to read this. This is like one of the most classic, amazing books for mindset ever. So The Magic of Thinking Big. Love that one. Okay. Almost there, guys. Almost there. Let's dive into finances. Oh man, this is the wrong book. Oh well. I'll tell you the one I meant. Dave Ramsey. I'm just going to say Dave Ramsey, The Total, man, I have the wrong book in front of me. The Total Money, what is it called, guys? The Total Money Solution? Is that what it's called? I think that's what it's called. The Total Money Solution. Total Money, I think so. But it's Dave Ramsey. And I recommend that one for everyone. This is Dave Ramsey, but this is not the book I'm talking about. Don't look at the name of that book. Dave Ramsey, The Total Money Solution. If you have at all any issues with finances whatsoever, start with that book. I'm not even going to show you the rest of these because it doesn't matter. Just listen to the Total Money Solution or get the book and study it. Sheila, I'm totally going to talk about you, girlfriend. Okay. Sheila and I started talking a long time ago and she blew me away over the last month. I started talking to her about joining our challenge groups and everything, and she joined, and she's like, by the way, remember 6 years ago when you ran this short little free group about finances? She took all that information, took all of Dave Ramsey's principles. Oh, thank you, Jesse. It's called the Total Money Makeover. Thank you. Total Money Makeover. She took all of those principles from Total Money Makeover and rolled with it And 6 years later, she's in an incredible spot, buying a new home, right? Did you already move into your home or no? All right, buying a new home, totally different spot that she was in 6 years ago. I mean, she has an amazing story. Sheila, if you want, maybe we can do a call together. She also dropped like 13 pounds in the last month, 13 and a half pounds, 15 pounds in the last month. Sheila, you're on here next. Whether you want to or not. Okay, so Total Money Makeover, read it, get it, study it. That one you buy. Buy that one. Buy that one. Take notes, highlight, live by it. Trust me, you're going to want the actual physical copy of that one. Okay, lastly, I'm just going to go over these real quick because there's a lot of coaches on here. These are some of my favorite. Well, actually, you don't need to be a coach for this one. This is the Miracle Morning. This is great for everybody. Health, fitness, finances, relationships. I don't care what you're working on. This is a great one. Very, very short. Very short. See all the highlighting. Don't be afraid to highlight in your books. Highlight in them. Write in them. Okay. The Morning, Miracle Morning. All right. Very short. Great. Hal Elrod. Get this. I sold Cutco with him years ago. Booyah. Hal Elrod. Anyway, read that book. It's really, really quick. Very quick read. And it will be so good for your, so I'm putting that in this. Okay. If you're a coach, these two are amazing. Go for No and Get Over Your Damn Self. Two amazing, very short reads, will change your business, I promise. Go for No and Get Over Your Damn Self. If you're in any kind of business, actually, these would be great. Well, this one's really for coaching, but Go for No and Get Over Your Damn Self. Really good books. Okay, so I have all these books thrown all over the place. I have one other one that's from my phone. The Road Back to You is an Enneagram book. But the beginning of it, and when I say Enneagram, it talks about personalities, how to work with other people, relationships, how to handle other people, how to handle yourself. The beginning of the book, like the 5 love languages, it does categorize people, but the beginning of the book really dives into how to use that information and how to use it for good and how to change your life with it. And so the Road Back to You, that was also on the list with all those top coaches who I asked. That was a big one on the list. The Road Back to You. Okay, so I talked about that one. There's 3 others I have on my phone that I don't have in copy. The Art of Exceptional Living is actually only in Audible. I don't think you can buy a book. It's a seminar series by Jim Rohn, and it's really, really, really good. It's called The Art of Exceptional Living. Another one with principles. I mean, I like books that are kind of to the point. Like, I don't like a ton of fluff. I'm like, come on, get to the point, right? And he's very get to the point, but in a very effective way. Another 2 are productivity books, The 10X Rule and Eat That Frog. I think a lot of people on here have probably read some of those. The 10X Rule and Eat That Frog. Tell me what you think, guys, in the chat. Miracle Equation is about, I've heard of good things about the Miracle Equation. I just haven't read it personally. Thinking about doing a challenge group with a book study included. Yes, love it. Okay, so some of the very main books that I would recommend if you have nowhere to start. You're like, I have no idea where I should be starting. You just gave me so much information, and I like a huge list of books, and I did, right? So it's kind of overwhelming. So here's what I'm going to suggest. If you've never read any kind of self-help, personal development, personal growth book, I suggest starting with The Slight Edge. I think it's a really quick read, and it's really good at putting your mind in perspective, right? So The Slight Edge, really, really good. The top books in different categories, I think the Total Money Makeover is huge for finances, really big. I think The Magic of Thinking Big is really important if you want to dream big, if you want to achieve big goals. I think this is big. And when I say big, that's very subjective to you, right? When I say big, you want to achieve big goals, I just mean bigger goals than you've achieved before, So don't make that as, oh, well, I don't want to earn $1 million a year. That's fine, whatever. But I don't need to lose 100 pounds. I don't care. I'm just saying, if it's a bigger goal than you've ever achieved before, this might be a really great book to read. Okay. Those two are probably two of my biggest books. Obviously, I'm leaving out the Bible. The Bible is really, really good. And to be honest with you, all of these books on the floor, every single one of them that is here, the principles are taken from the Bible. Like, if any of these self-help books, you really drive them down, the principles down, you'll find them in the Bible. Whether you're religious or not, I feel like I need to say that. But yes, all very important. How to Win Friends and Influence People is another one. So anyway, tell me in the chat. I know I threw a lot at you. I really do think you should read this one, though, if you haven't. But if you've been reading a lot of books, maybe you don't need to start that. Thinking about doing a challenge. Love that. Miracle Equation. Total Money Makeover. Alex says she loves how in Audibles you can save clips. It says, and leader in me. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, The Leader in Me. I think that's another Stephen Covey book that she's talking about. And 7 Habits for Students and Kids. That's cool. Do they have one for like one for the kids to read? That would be cool. By the way, a lot of these, now that she says that, a lot of these authors do have kid books. So if you have kids, just look for the authors that I suggested, because they do have amazing books for kids also. I know that there's How to Win Friends and Influence People for like kid edition or teen edition. There's also Stephen Covey has one, 7 Habits for Highly Effective Teens. There's Dave Ramsey has a kid's book. There are books of these authors have different books for kids as well, which is really cool. Okay, so I think that's it. I think that's all I got. If you have any other suggestions, let me know. But here's the thing. If you're constantly putting in this information on a regular basis, daily basis, it's like working out. You can work out once a week, and I mean, that's better than not working out at all, but you're probably not going to see a huge difference until you start working out like 5 days a week, right? More days than not. And so same thing with reading personal development or working on yourself or doing any kind of mindset work. It's got to be more days than not throughout the week. So at least 4, 5, 6 days. And it doesn't have to be a ton, but it's the continuation. So there's a huge difference between reading 5-10 minutes a day versus reading one book in one day and then not reading another book for another like 4 weeks, right? It's that daily mind switch, right? That daily helping of your mind change. Awaken the Giant, she said, yeah, that's a really good one too. So anything Tony Robbins is cool. So just keep in mind that what you might like might not be the thing that somebody else likes, and what they might like, you might not like. And here's one other tip I'm going to give you, and I'm going to let you go. When I first started reading things like this, I started seeing things a little differently, but my type personality like was pretty ruthless with other people then. I was like, you need to read this because you have a bad attitude, so read this, right? Don't do that, right? It's just you then become the jerk. So work on yourself first and be the example for other people, right? So whatever you want to see in the world, you become that person. And you become that person by putting the right things in your mind and really by repetitively putting the principles in your mind so that you can be reminded every day of who you really want to be and how you want to live. And I think that's really important. Okay, I'm done. Alex is bringing up some other good authors. Brené Brown, another great one. Power of Vulnerability. She's written a bunch of books. Brené Brown. So yeah, she's another good one. Dare to Lead, she wrote. Dare to Lead, Power of Vulnerability. So anyway, I want to know what you guys are going to read next. So think about it. When I send out the recording, I do send out the recording, by the way, via email. And I also give reminders 15 minutes beforehand via text message. So if you're not on that email list, make sure you get on it so you can get the recording. And then when you get that email, forward me back, like reply to the email and say, hey, this is the book I'm going to read next, because I'm going to shout you out when we get on here next time. So yeah, tell me what book you're going to read next. I'm reading You Can Drop It. I'm really excited about that. And I'll let you guys go. Have an awesome Saturday. Talk to you guys later. Bye.